Thank you, everyone, for attending today's session on getting deep insights into your SAP Business Objects platform and SAP Data Services jobs. Over 13 years in business, our most popular solution has been 360 Eyes, our BI on BI solution. Some say that Business Objects is like a box of chocolates. Customers like it, but they want to know what's inside the chocolate. This is precisely what 360 Eyes will show you. It provides detailed information on the application, the users, and lets you know what people like and are using. So I'm Don Peacock, the sales director in the DC, Virginia, and Maryland area, and a big focus of mine is the federal government.
And I'm Patrick Perrier. I'm the director of the COE based out of London, England. Nice to be with all of you today.
So here's today's agenda. Each of the sessions starts at the top of the hour. And some comments before we start. You can submit questions anytime in the chat box, and we encourage you to do so. And we'll answer those questions at the end of the session. We'll also be sending you a recording of the presentation, likely tomorrow. And lastly, take a few seconds to complete the survey at the end of the session. It'll help us improve. Okay, so the focus of this session is to show you how to get deep insights into both Business Objects and SAP Data Services. Now, the key component for doing this is using metadata. 360 Suite leverages metadata to derive valuable information.
Yeah, that's right, Don. We know that BI is about getting value out of the data, about your own company, make the right decisions. But what about making the right decisions and getting the answers outside of your Business Objects platform? And that's why we created 360 Eyes many years ago. I'm sure a lot of you on the phone today already have 360 Eyes. Hopefully, I'll be able to introduce some aspect of 360 Eyes you didn't know already. And for the rest of you, I hope you will see all the values that it can give you. And how does it work? It's very simple. 360 Eyes is like an ETL solution, right? You run a job, and the job will go around and extract metadata, which is saved inside of Business Objects. So that's your system database, that's the audit database, and we go even in the file store. And I'll give some examples in the next few minutes, and I will do some live demonstrations as well. And more recently, most of you may not know about this because it's only been officially released a few weeks ago, but we do now extract metadata on top of SAP Data Services as well. Once that metadata has been extracted, it's saved in your own data marts on-premise, and then use BI on top of it, which is why we call it BI on BI or BI on ETL. Is use Webby, use the power of the universes, and leverage all of that metadata to give you all the answers that you need to have for your Business Objects. Doesn't matter if you're BI manager, developer, an auditor, there's always something good for you in there. Like I said, in the next few minutes, I'll expand on this with examples and live demonstration.
All right, we'll start off with the poll, and it's a simple one. Do you use SAP Data Services?
So we're quite interested because, like I said, it is a new addition to our portfolio, being able to extract metadata. So just want to know, indeed, do you have a SAP Data Services or not? And some of you are saying, what is SAP Data Services? Well, it is an ETL solution. So some of you might be using SSIS from Microsoft or Talent or Warescape, or there are dozens and dozens of ETL solutions out there, and Data Services is the one sold by SAP. Okay, thank you all for voting. I'll close the poll now. And we're not sharing. Here we go. About 50-50 of using and not using. So Thank you all for voting.
Okay, so let me introduce the BI on BI concept. As Patrick said, we're able to extract metadata from Auditor, the CMS, and the file store. And this metadata gives you much greater insight into your business objects environment, and it's going to help you make data-driven decisions. Patrick, if you can give a few examples.
Yes, absolutely. And before I go there, just to put things in context, the CMS, it's the system database. That's where you have everything about your platform, the users, the groups, the security, the reports that you have, their titles, descriptions, everything about business objects is saved in that system database. Now, to extract that metadata, there's not a million ways. You can use the good old query builder. It's a web page, but you can't do anything with that information. You can't save it in a nice format. You can't reuse it easily. You can't compare between environments. So, it was nice 20 years ago when it was released, but it's never been something you could use really in production. You also have the CMS DB driver that was released a few years ago. But again, it's very complicated to use. You cannot extract all of the metadata that you want, and there's a lot of functionalities that you just can't do. What do we also extract? Like I said, is the audit data. Now, the audit database, again, it's been around for a long time. It's in clear text. SAP has some sort of a universe that you can use, but it's not simple at all. And now the file store, well, SAP doesn't provide anything to extract metadata from the file store. And by that, what I mean is opening these Webbies, this Crystal, these Lumira, the universes, and extracting the metadata from inside those objects. Yeah, and again, we'll expand on that. But the real power is to combine all of these three together. Because if I only have the audit database, I only know what happened. But if I mix this with the CMS, the system database, now I have everything that exists. And then I can start being a bit fancy here, doing some delta mode and tell you what actions have been done, what action have not been done, what can I clean up. I can give you more information about, okay, done has logged done. Okay, but thanks to the system database, I can now say done has this type of license, belongs to these groups. So it's about leveraging all that information at the same time.
Yep, and the new offering that we have is BI on ETL. And, just as with business objects, 360 Suite will leverage the data services metadata to give you insights on your ETL.
Yes, and same thing here. About 40%, I believe it was, of you do use SAP data services, and I'll be quite happy to take your questions or your chats, right? Don't hesitate, because as a developer, how painful it is to build complex projects which will have lots of workflows, data flows, transformations, the jobs that you have. All of these things are quite important. You will want to document this for a reason or another, for audit purposes, or to assist the developers, to maintain your jobs over time. And that it's just something you cannot do at all with data services. So we hope that this new offering will give you a lot of value for data services. And again, I will demonstrate that in the next few minutes.
So using the concept of BI on BI with ETL, 360 Suite will allow you to document many things and document historical changes on both BobJ and data services. For business objects, you can document security, usage and non-usage of users, documents, universes, objects. You can document scheduling. And for data services, you'll be able to document the data flows, workflows, and historical usage information. And this is what Patrick will show in this demo.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's do this. Okay, so I'll start first with the, I was going to say traditional, let's say the original 360 eyes. 360 eyes, like I said, there are a series of jobs. They extract the metadata, they save it in a database on-premise, or on your site, and then using Webby reports, we give you about 80 of them pre-built. I'll show you about the value of using our universes and how deep you can go to get all the metadata and the information that you need. So what I thought I would do today is come from the approach of 3 different roles. Yeah, there's a lot of people on the call today. Some of you will be on the BI management side, I'm sure. Others will be maybe more developers or business users. And maybe there's some of you from the business. Maybe auditing is something important. So I'll try to cover these 3 different type of roles with some examples here. But again, this is just the tip of the iceberg. So much more can be done. If you have any questions or there's anything you'd like me to expand or demonstrate more on, we'll have time during the Q&A at the end for me to do this. Okay, let's pretend we're the BI manager here, and BI manager, what do they want to know? Well, they want to know about a lot of things. Let's start the licenses. Yeah, there's no specific order here. So I want to know the licenses I have, what's been used and not used. Can I reallocate my licenses to other people? Do you need maybe to do chargeback, right? Are you cross-charging the finance team for the licenses that they use? Same things perhaps for the HR team and all that. Well, this is all metadata which is available in the system and the audit database. Once you can put all these things together, you have the answers. So I'll show you a couple of examples here. And again, these are Webby reports. Same Webby you do every day for your own business, but it's just now about your business objects. So the BI manager, maybe he's not the BO administrator. Well, at least he knows. Okay, well, here you go. I'm on Service Pack 8 here. I'm latest version. That's really good. These are the name of the concurrent licenses that I own. Now it says unlimited here because we have a partner keys. Most of you will say, well, we have 50 named and maybe 50 concurrent users. You see which ones are assigned, which ones are not assigned, meaning which ones are available. So this will give, a good hint to the BI manager. Well, I don't need to buy more licenses because, I have some available. Or if somebody says, well, no, we do need to, we need to buy new licenses because they're all allocated. Okay, well, they are allocated. That's good, but are they really used? Then again, thanks to leveraging the data from the system database, but also the audit database, I can tell you the type of users and if they have logged on or not. Now, you want to drill down in this information. Again, we give you a lot of pre-built sample reports, but very, very easily for you to just go ahead and say, hey, I want to learn a few more things here. So let's do this. I'll open my report. And now we have this CMS universe, and you will recognize a lot of these things which are coming from your system database. And perhaps you want to do some chargeback, right? So maybe you'll say, okay, it's time for the sales guys to pay their fair share of business objects. So I'll just load the parent group name here with a group name, and I'll say I'm only interested in cross-charging at this moment in time the sales team. No problem. Here we go. So this is just doing your normal BI, but on top of your BI platform. You see here, it's proposing a snapshot, and I'll come back to that, but don't mention historical before. This is when I run 360 eyes, it's doing different snapshots over time. And I can even do snapshots over different environments. So if I wanted to compare my platform of today versus my platform of last week or last month or a totally different environment, I could easily compare metadata between environments. That's very powerful. So here's an example here. I'm the BI manager again, and I want to know, okay, I said the sales guys. Okay, so here's my parent. Let's do that first. All right, so the sales guys. Okay, well, there's sales UK and sales USA, no problem. I want to know who I have. Well, turns out it's user 1 and user 2, but here you have all of your users. You want to know, okay, are they disabled? No, they're enabled, which means that they are, they are licenses really. Okay, have they logged on recently? Okay, user 2 has never logged on, so does he really need a license or not? User 1 has logged on, right? And you can carry on and again with tons of metadata, do your own analysis to do showback, chargeback, license allocations, and so on. Okay, so that was an example, examples around licensing. Now, another thing that the BI manager will want is do a bit of cleanup. He wants to know who's using what. Again, for the same reasons. Maybe you want to do some migrations, some upgrades. So you want to know what is used, so you know what to test. Maybe you care about user adoption. All of these things is again about leveraging that same information. So I can go to, not here I want to go, I want to go here first. Okay, here we go, document usage. So this is a very long list. Again, you feel free to customize it, but these are my documents. This is where they belong, the name of them, actions done of these on those documents, when the last action was. Very easy for you to clean up the ones with no actions or the ones which have not been used for a long time. Same thing with universes. Maintaining universes is expensive. Well, that universe here has over, almost 4,000 actions. That is a lot more compared to my Snowflake or DBC, which has only 28. Doesn't mean that I can get rid of this universe here, but again, understanding the importance of the universe, which ones are used and not used. You want to go specifically about what the users are doing, the type of actions, again, for license purposes, or understanding how things are used. You see here the name of the account and the actions that are done on the different reports. So again, leveraging, in this case, audit database and the system database. Right. One last example here on user activity. You see the name of the users, you see the ones that have done actions on it when they logged on the last time. So license allocation, cleanup, and so on. Okay, that was just a few examples for the BI manager. Let's say we're now a business user, a report developer, and again, what sort of information is at my disposal so I can do a better job? One thing which is super powerful is data lineage and impact analysis. And I will go even deeper later in this session about, when I talk about data services. If I'm a developer, you see here that as an example, for this universe here, there's a number of objects which are obviously part of this universe, and these are the documents where these objects are used for. So we have this all the time, but somebody says, hey, we are going to recalculate line total. We'll change that to the universe or in ETL. I want to know which report is using line total. Well, no problem. In this case, I see that these 5 reports are using that object, and I know what I then need to test. And because of the activity, I can even inform users that I'm going to do changes on their own reports. Okay, if I go to report documentation, I'm a developer here. That was mentioned in the previous session for those of you who were there. Here's an example of a Webby report. And again, we support Crystal, we support Lumira, we support other type of objects here. Well, this report in the query has these objects. I can even document my variable here, not only the name, but the code inside those formulas. But very, very powerful. You can see if things are used or not used. So what you could easily do is clean up these reports for better performance. And you could also, if it turns out that objects are not used in any universes, you could clean the universe, you could clean the BW queries, the HANA views, all of these things here. There's many more examples. Number of documents per universe. Well, we see that my adventure works, which had so much activity earlier, well, it turns out there's only 11 documents. So I know the answer to that. That's because of scheduling instances. But again, that's I have the information here. Something that was asked in a demo I had this morning, purging of documents. Yeah, so you have some documents, some of them will have, confidential information. You want to make sure they're purged. 360, we have solutions to have jobs to automatically purge them. But if you want to make sure if it's done or not, again, documents which are purged or not. And finally, for the developers, so not finally, but in this section here, because we open the file store, and that's something you cannot do with, with BusinessObjects at all. We have this report here. It's very basic, but show me what we call the bad documents. And that's just an example. The ones with 20 tabs or 50,000 rows or 15 data providers. You feel free to customize this, of course. Well, you see here that I had a bit of fun and I created a Webby report on top of Snowflake with 100 million rows. Well, maybe I'm happy, maybe I'm not happy with this, but at least you can track all of these things. Documenting my universes once again, because I go in the file store. I can open again, select my right snapshot. Again, the name of the universe, all of the objects inside of that universe. So I don't want to say too much data cataloging, but we're going in that direction here. I love this one here, unused universe objects, because I can speak to universes and I can speak to my Webby report. I can tell you these universes, let's say this adventure works Snowflake here, well, it has 36 objects in the universe, only 21 are used. Well, I have 15 objects not used anywhere. I want to know which ones they are, no problem. I continue to drill down in the metadata, and you see that this object here is not used, not a single time in any report. So again, for the maintenance of your ETL, your database, your HANA views, your BW queries, all of these things here. Okay, and finally, for the developer, that could be the BI manager as well, I don't know, but scheduling analysis. We have a lot of information we can give you about that. I can tell you, the full history of what has been scheduled or not. And obviously I did not pre-refresh this one here. Okay, so while it's refreshing, and then I have another good one here for scheduling analysis. Here we go, it's telling me I'm scheduling some Webbies, some in Excel, some by email, inbox, others by email. So a full understanding and analysis of your instances where everything has gone, performance, if they failed, why they failed. So again, that can be very helpful for the administrators, the BI managers, the developers. Okay, and finally for BusinessObjects, let's say you're an auditor, so you don't really care about BusinessObjects as a software. You're more concerned about the data that might be flying around. Okay, so we have the ability for you to document the security. So there's the same examples I used for sales earlier. So Sales UK has only access to UK with view and refresh. USA only out of USA, that's perfect. So imagine you could have this scheduled on a regular basis to inform you of the security model. You could compare between snapshots, so historical evolution over time, to see if things have changed or not. And you could easily do your account recertification by saying, hey, UK should not have access to such and such anymore. It should be something else. So again, everything about the security can be documented. If you have data which is confidential, what you could do, and I've opened a universe here. Here's an example where I have customer data and orders data, right? Now, a state Is a state confidential? Not really. I cannot reverse engineer with the state of Washington that it's automatically going to be done, right? There's a lot of people in Washington. But with his street address, with his last name, with his email, I can definitely identify people. That would be a problem. What we can do is, if you want to go inside of Universe, so that's information design tool, that's the Universe creation tool right here. If you want, you can go in the description field, if you like, and add a little comment. I put tag GDPR, I could have put anything I want here. I'm based in Europe, so GDPR is the one for me here. Now, manually, one by one, you see, I went to type GDPR for all of these, not all of these, but for some of these objects here, zip code perhaps. Here we go, I did. We offer you the ability to do that in bulk using Excel, but that's another conversation. But thanks to this here, I can say I want to document all the universes which have a hashtag. Well, here we go. Backstore has GDPR on these customer things, but not on the others. And now, thanks to the lineage and everything, I can do the analysis I want. I want to know which reports are using confidential information. Well, this customer report is using these confidential objects. This order status is using these objects as well. So again, you can keep on track on your GRC, on your important information. So that was 360 eyes for business objects. And finally, and I'll do a longer demo in the next few minutes, but we have metadata for data services. So I'll just open this one example here, and again, I'll do a bigger demo later on. So with data services, we can document, okay, I'm on my wrong environment. Let's go to my data services environment, that'll be better. Okay, I can go ahead. And for those of you who have seen data services before, you will recognize some of these things. See, I have my project here, bike store. I have a job. This job has one workflow. This workflow has a couple of workflows. Each workflows will have their own data flows, of course, with their own transformation. Yeah, and these things will be scheduled on a regular basis. You cannot document any of these things with data services, but with 360 eyes, I can. Here's my project. Here's my top workflow. Just done it in this way to show you the different steps here. But you see those two data flow workflows talking to each other with their own data flows. I'm documenting my data flows with a mapping formula. That's the transformation where my data is coming from, my source, my targets, which server, usernames and so on, and the scheduling of the jobs and how long it took and how many rows have been extracted. So this is just a document here, but just like I've demonstrated, you can go ahead and do all the analysis that you want. Okay, done. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Patrick. So as explained, leveraging metadata will give us the opportunity to document many things, but it will also give us the opportunity to run impact analysis and do complete data lineage, which Patrick began to show us both. So let me just define those concepts. Impact analysis allows you to know the consequences of an action or the extent and nature of change it may cause. And for data lineage, that states where the data is coming from, where it's going, what transformations are applied to it as it goes through multiple processes, and helps you understand the data lifecycle.
Okay, so I believe that's my time for the next demo. It is. Okay, let's go back. So in the first demo a few minutes ago, with 360 eyes, I've done the demonstration that I can, with my reports and my impact analysis, I've demonstrated I can tell you, all right, these objects in the universe are being used in these reports. And these reports are used by these users. So I can do already business objects impact analysis here. But those of you who are also using SAP Data Services as an ETL solution, we can do what we call an end-to-end impact analysis. I can go from the source database, where the data is originally coming from, which transformation it has, has happened in SAP Data Services, to which target database it was saved, the universes talking to that target database, and then the rest, webbies and users. So all the way from the users to the source database. So that way, you know that if you are going to touch anything, you can know who will be impacted. And I have 3 documents here that I will present in this demo. It depends who you are. If you're the ETL developer, maybe you want to know what is going to happen with SAP Data Services, what impact it will have on the universes and the webbies. If you're the universe designer, maybe you want to know you changing the universe, where things are coming from in the ETL and the target database, as well as which reports will be impacted. And finally here, if you're a report developer, so you're in a Webby, you're about to build a report, sometimes knowing which objects is coming from the universe, but more importantly, where it's coming from in your database. If you're familiar with the data warehouse or the data mart, that can make things a lot easier as well. So there's different personas here. Well, here's an example. Let me refresh this report. Okay, so I'm the data services guy here. There's some table names. There we go. These are the tables being used in my jobs. These are the fields or the columns used in my jobs. I now need to make changes on order status and product name for whatever reason. Okay, well, I know that product name and order status are coming from the tables products and orders. Which data store it's coming from, source and target. I can tell you which queries it's been used for the transformation, and I can tell you which data flow, so you can even reverse engineer which workflow it's coming from, of course. Now, these 2 columns are actually being used in these 3 universes here. So if I'm going to change this here, I need to inform my universe designer that this will have an impact on these 3 universes. And these 3 universes, well, are being used by these 4 Webby reports. And again, that could be Lumira, that could be Crystal, could be other things. So impact analysis end-to-end between data services, 2 universes, 2 documents, if I'm a data services guy. Let's carry on here. Same demo, but this time, if I'm a universe guy. So here we go. Here's some prompts. Which universes do I care about? Maybe I care only about these 2 universes, right? I have plenty of universes on my platform, but these are the 2 I want to have a look at. These universes will have lots and lots of objects in the universes, of course, but I don't care about any specific objects, perhaps. Right, let's refresh this here. Okay, well, based on the 2 universes I have selected, these 3 Webby reports will be impacted, and this is where the data is coming from in my data services. So again, end-to-end data lineage and impact analysis, but this time with the view of the universe guy. And finally, Webby. Here are 3 Webby reports. I want to know these Webby reports. One of them is not using anything, so that's good. So these 2 Webbies are actually being connected to these universes, and these ones are by using this data services metadata. So I think you can see now, I hope. Otherwise, please do ask me any questions. But how you leveraging 360 eyes, the one that you may know already, the one that you have. But if you have SAP Data Services using this older or newer 360 eyes, how you can leverage all of that metadata. Okay, over to you.
Thanks, Patrick. So another poll question, what is your interest level in this webinar topic? And we have a couple of options. One is just increasing your knowledge. You don't have immediate needs, but would like to see a demo. You may have a project and want to schedule a demo, or you may have a project and want to try 360 Suite and see how it helps.
Okay. Yeah, we'll just wait another 30 seconds to let people time to vote. Thank you very much for the question. I can see there's 6 or 7 questions already, which is great. So please do keep coming. All right. Okay, I'll close the poll and.
Okay, so the question is, who benefits from these capabilities? And as you can see, there's really benefit across the organization. For the BI manager who wants to know what the user adoption level is, who's using what, right? Who are the users? What reports are they using? What objects, what universes? That could help with future investments. It'll certainly help with migration and upgrade because you can clean up a lot of content that's not being used. On the developer side, you're going to have a much better understanding of the data. And one example is you won't have to go through the time-consuming task of manual discovery because you'll have documented lineage. On the finance side, Patrick had mentioned, you can do a licensing allocation, you can do chargeback because you'll have that specific information about which departments are using the application. On the auditor side, you can document security. Recertification is important in federal. If people leave your organization, you can make sure that their access is logged off. You can document where sensitive documents are in objects and keep track of that. So I'd say the overall value is by increasing efficiency, automation, which is going to lead to cost savings. It's going to give you a lot more information than you have today. And so here's a number of use cases that we solved with the 360 Suite solutions. Today we talked a little bit about the metadata and lineage, but we have solutions for regression testing, for backup, for self-service, cleanup and archiving, bursting. We have many solutions to consider. So just keep us in mind when you have other requirements.
Yeah, absolutely. For all of your BusinessObjects projects, upgrades, migrations, maybe it's IT, admin, backups, maybe it's audits and regulations. As you can see, there's a number of things here, but everything that concerns your BusinessObjects, we have a solution for it. And well, you have seen the agenda. A lot of these topics will be discussed throughout the day. I think it's questions.
Oh, I'm sorry, Patrick. I was going to say we're going to do Q&A now, but before we do that, I just want to let everyone know, if you'd like to be contacted after the event, just please leave your name and number in the chat box, and we'll be happy to do that. But yeah, let's look at some questions.
Okay, Don, this one's for you from Chris. Is BI on ETL an extra cost, or is it the same as BI on BI?
It is an extra cost. It's a new extension for us, so I'd be happy to review the pricing on that.
Okay, thank you. One from Lisette. If you already have 360 on SAP BusinessObjects, how can you add on data services? I'll do this one. So Lisette, it's in terms of installation, same thing as your existing 360Is, right? It's a separate download. Like Don said, it's a separate license key for this product. It has one job, and it comes with one universe. So very similar to 360Is. You unzip, run the job, save it to its own database. So it's a separate database to the 360Is, and then you review the metadata using the universe. And like I've done here, you can just extract metadata from the data services universe, or you can mix it with the older 360 eyes universe. Yeah, actually, if I just go here very quickly and I click on if I go to design and I go to the query, for those of you with the, you see, I'm using here the universe, the Webby universe, and the data services universe. So you can mix, both product side by side. Okay, so I hope I have answered that question. I'll just reopen the question box. Can you do a complete impact analysis and lineage analysis from data services to BI? Yeah, Chris, that's exactly those demos I've done at the end. I hope that's what you wanted to see. Question from Larry. General question, we just patched to 4.2 SP7 and our users are starting to look at the Fiori Launchpad. Will this have an impact on the supply to 360 reports? No, because that's a great question. Fiori Launchpad is a new viewer from 4.2 SP5, I believe, or anyway, the only viewer from 4.3 that should be released this week. And no, it has it processes the Webby reports just like as always, so no impact for us. Okay, from Lily, could you elaborate a little bit on the universe for the metadata? It is all based on CMS database. Does auditor provide all the information? Okay, so basically, how do we get the data? So 360 eyes will use the SDK to extract metadata from the system database and the file store. Absolutely. So our solutions are all certified by SAP, so we do things by the book. So yes, we leverage the SDK, and that's why we support everything from Buxit 3.1 and above. We support everything because we just reuse the SDK from SAP. For the audit database, we need a read connectivity to the audit database so we can extract the events that are interesting. Not everything in the audit database is useful, which is why out of the box it's so difficult and slow to use. So for us, it's like I said earlier, it's like an ETL. We extract what we want, we save it in a separate 360 database. And my colleague Pauline mentioned this one in the previous session. For those of you who were there, there's no impact on business objects. So yes, there'll be a light impact when you do the extraction, but you do that overnight, or you do that, it's not something which is live up and running. After that, consuming that metadata is just like viewing any report. There's no impact on your platform, so it's a much better way to do it. Other questions from Lily. The metadata information for the jobs schedule, can you get information like recipient list from N2? Yes, you can get the full detail from these instances. Could you please show again the slide for free trial? I believe that's the one you see here, but we've seen your name. My colleagues will be in touch. All of our solutions are available for free trial, absolutely. Other questions? We already have 360. How do I check my current version of 360 using Launchpad? Okay, there are different answers to this based on which 360 solutions you're talking about. Thank you for your question. One of my pre-sales colleagues will be in touch, either to the login screen of 360, or if it's 360 eyes, you'll see this in the log files when the job run. But again, we'll help you technically with this. No problem at all. Okay, we have a couple of minutes left. Done. I think that's all of the questions I see. Is there any other questions you wanted that you've seen that I've missed, perhaps?
Well, one question that came up the other day when I was talking with a customer, they're using SAP Information Steward, and they were asking how is it different than 360 eyes?
Okay, so SAP, so that we did not make a poll on this, but I suspect that very few of you, if at all, use a product called SAP Information Steward. So Information Steward is a master an MDM, Master Data Management Solution, and it's to help you with your data quality inside of BusinessObjects. So it will speak to BusinessObjects, it will speak to SAP Data Services, it will even speak to your database, right, to extract lots of information all over the place. Now, one small feature of information storage is the ability to navigate, not document, not analyze, but navigate between your BusinessObjects and your data services metadata. So you can navigate, you can click a universe, and when you click the universe, you'll see where the data or where the jobs is coming from inside of SAP Data Services. So I would say that that bit here of seeing the information of the screen is, does exist in information storage. But information storage, the problem, well, first of all, is very, very expensive. So way more expensive than 360. And it's simple because it does a lot of things about MDM. But if we go back to the metadata, you can't analyze, you can't filter, you can't extend it with the audit database of BusinessObjects. You can't extend it with the system database information from BusinessObjects. You can't do whatever analysis you want, and you cannot document at regular interval, and you can't compare between environments. So basically, yes, there's a tiny bit of similarities in the fact that we can display metadata, but it's not a metadata solution, the information storage. So, I hope I have answered the questions. I'm happy to discuss this offline if required.